It's September. I grew up in the 90s, so for me, September is that time of the year when everyone's been back from their summer vacations, and that means that sometimes you and your family are invited to an evening of sitting through someone else's vacation pictures. If you're lucky and it's later than the early 90s, they compiled them into a presentation. But if you're not lucky, then you're stuck watching them get projected on a big screen using an old school projector. And there's all sorts of technical problems you have to wait through, and you and your siblings are giving your parents the whole not so subtle, "Can we just go home" look, and they want to go home too. They want to say yes, but it would be very impolite to leave like that because the family or a friend of the family took all this time to sort through their Polaroid pictures, so they have to stay and they have to tell you guys to stay. But if it's later than that, then maybe they'll have like a PowerPoint presentation and it might be a bit more bearable. So that is the vibe we're going for today. Barely bearable. Now, I didn't go on vacation, but I did sit through several hour-long calls to draft units from every single Fire Emblem game. And a while ago, I finished playing them all, and I have a video where I explain that process and go over the teams if you're curious. Today though, if enough of y'all hit the like button in the future as well, we'll take a nice trip through the memory lane together and look at funny screens that we took from our draft runs. And today we're going to start with Fire Emblems 1 through 3. Are you ready? Let's go. So we'll start with Fire Emblem 1, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. Right away, I cheated. I didn't play this game because I didn't want to. FE1 is a great museum piece, but it is not a good game, so I didn't bother playing it. I did draft some units. At one point through the entire draft, I decided it would be up to me to pick all the Manakins and dragons that I can, so I picked Zane, I picked Tiki, I picked Goto. Pretty good collection, if I may say so myself, and I mean, I guess Tiki and Zane are kind of good, so I kind of denied them from other players. This was not a competitive draft, but it was funny to pick them anyway, but I did not play this game, thankfully, because god, it's bad. But it is worth looking again at the other teams for a little bit, because just of how funny FE1 portraits are. I appreciate Kuni for picking all three of the Axe Bros that are not bros, as well as picking both Dolph and Magellan. I can't tell which is which. You also can't tell who is Gordon, who is Tomas, and who is, I think it's Wolf, who looks the exact same probably. But they are also drafted somewhere, I guess. You can also see that Marth, Jagan, and Julian are free. Generally, this is going to be a theme throughout the game. Throughout the All Games draft, as we made the Lords free. There's like a Jagan character that's free, and there's usually like a free thief, or we just allow things. Like, you are allowed to cheat a little bit in your draft if you wanted to. But this is the only game I didn't play, so let's move on to Gaiden. Easy. If this is like your family vacation feature-length thing, I think there's always that sense of relief when someone is like, okay, we'll go to the next day. It's like, okay, they only went for 14 days. So at the very least, we're 1/14th further than where we used to be. So there is an end to this, thankfully. And so we are here. This is Gaiden. This is the game where Kuni said, I'm not playing this game, so I'm not going to draft units from that. They didn't go for a funny Manakee steal like I did, probably because you can't really do that in Gaiden. So that's that. I did draft units for Gaiden because I didn't want to play Gaiden. Gaiden is one of my favorite guilty pleasure games where I know it's not good or up to modern standards, but it's just so funny that I can't help myself. So I picked Gaiden Cliff is the first unit I have. Saber for Celica side, and that's basically all you need. Everything else here was just a cherry on top. I said this in the intro video too. When I play drafts, I'm usually aiming to have like 1 or 2 units that are just really strong, just rush through the game every now and then. Sometimes I want to make like a more sophisticated team, where you have like a balanced group of units that can cover each other's weaknesses. But in some games, this is not necessary, and it's better to just invest all your resources and all your experience into 1 or 2 units and have them just rampage through. And that's what I did with this game, specifically with Cliff and Saber. Dean is one unit I picked. Katria's pretty good. In this patch she's called Tita, but you guys might know her as Tatiana from SOV, as well as her partner Zeke. And of course, we have Valbo Gaming. That's my squad. I can't really go too in-depth on the other people's squads because I don't remember exactly what they were thinking, but I do have some screens from them to show you in a little bit as to how they turned out. And of course, everyone gets the free Cleric Girls, Silk, and Jenny, as well as Almond Celica, of course. So this is my home side team for the rest of the game. I think I killed off or didn't recruit as many characters as I could. And so my team was just Alm vibing at level 6. He was actually pretty good for me. Alm was pretty good in Gaiden. And then this is level 3 Cliff. I'm pretty sure at this point he's like a Myrmidon already at level 3. Or maybe not a Myrmidon, because this is when I had Silk for 4 levels. I don't know when this is. I just wanted to show my Alm side team of 3 people. That's the point of this picture. And yeah, Cliff is the team. This is him killing Slater. So that's already at 1E. I think you can tell he's a Myrmidon here. Not a Dread Fight, doesn't level up that fast, even if he kills literally everything, but he does level up hella fast like this. And then we're already on to Celica's side. This is going way faster than my average vacation pictures for sure. Clerics in Gaiden do not gain experience through healing at all. All they can do to get experience is do combat, which means dealing with a 50-hit Nosferatu. So this is my Jenny at level 10 with the Leather Shield, just rushing through everything using Nosferatu. This, I think, is I think it's like the seaside cave, the little island that Kamui is so afraid of in SOV. She's level 10 there, so she's done basically everything. My only other units at this point are Celica and Saber is very easy to promote to Myrmidon by the time you are about to end the section, and very hard to promote to Dread Fighter. So I focus all of XP on Jenny, and this is the result. She's very, very strong. I can't really show her stats here, but if she's at this level, you know she's up to par. And then we have some pictures from other people, because I didn't take a whole lot of screenshots of Gaiden. It was mostly just Cliff destroying everything. These are Peeved's endgame units, or some of them. He's got Luca, aka Lucas, the Baron. One of my favorite parts of Gaiden screenshots is there's always this little message here that rubs in that you cannot use magic. You'll have like a screenshot of units like level 50,000 with 20,000 power and 40 speed from the Speed Ring. And then the game is like, yeah, can't use magic. Speed Ring in this game also gives 9 move, which makes Lucas very funny in the late game. It's what he's probably most known for. I actually think he's mostly good because his early game bulk is so good. But it is quite funny when you do get the Speed Ring. But you do have to give up your strong lance for it. So his power ends up being a little bit underwhelming. Also, Est is obviously very good when you have very few things to invest in. I don't know how the hell she managed to reach 30 power, but I'm assuming her lance has something to do with it. I think she had the Gradifu equipped at this point. But yeah, just 2 examples of a good endgame pair. There's going to be a lot of those endgame screenshots here. Silith was not in a draft, but she did participate by using Peeve's demons instead. And she picked Ryuto and Jenny, as you can read here. He's like, yeah, I heard that Ryuto or Luthier was so good in the original with Excalibur, and I tried to train him in Gaiden for the draft. He wasn't bad, but didn't impress really, which is generally my impression of this unit anyway in both those games. It's like, it's kind of nice sometimes, but it feels like it could have been a lot better with just a slightly better stat layout. And of course, also some Jenny favoritism, because Jenny is pretty stan. Silith also writes that they were the one to finish off Duma, Jenny, because of the Nosferatu bug. In case you don't know, Duma is rigged to be invincible to everything except the Falchion. When he's below, I want to say 50 HP or something like that. You know what I mean if you played SOV. But funnily enough, Nosferatu is also hard-coded to always have 50 hits. So even though everyone is rigged to miss Duma, I think it's either miss or seal, Nosferatu goes right through. So if you have him just at the right HP, thanks to Alm, you can finish off Duma using Nosferatu. And this works in SOV too. They just kept that bug in as a reference because it's a very faithful remake in some ways. Not in many others, but in this way, it's a very faithful remake. So they tried to finish off Duma with Jenny. It worked. I think I used Alm myself in both Gaiden and SOV. I'm not sure about Gaiden anymore though because it's so long ago. But it's very tricky to do because if Alm crits, then it's just Jover. There were some more endings. These are my endings. Kind of disgusting. So the thing with Gaiden is you cannot undeploy units. It just forces everyone onto the field. You don't have a deployment screen. And the only way to get units not deployed is to not recruit them. And so this happened to these people. The Decision Batch, as you can see, is trying its best to fit in everything it needs to into the box, and it fails miserably in some cases. Ram Valley rests in peace. FE3, Mystery of the Emblem. I think the first thing I want to remark about FE3, now that I look at it again, is just, oh my god, it's such a gorgeous game for its time, and even now it kind of holds up. Look at how cool the portraits look. Look at how colorful everything is. Like, everything just jumps at you from the screen. It's so cool looking. I'm not a super big fan of FE3 as a Fire Emblem game myself. I would rank it a little bit lower than most games probably, but I do highly respect this game and I do enjoy playing it every now and then. My team real quick, I didn't plan on having a whole lot of carries in this game either, so I picked Katria, who was really good in both books, but especially book 2. Kane, who was more as a book 1 carry because he joins very early there. Merrick, because he's kind of good in both books. Bantu, I mean, gotta pick the Manakete, same with Tiki. Ubello, who is surprisingly fun to use, and he's a book 2 mage. You kind of want mages for both books for Garneth. Lawrence is a funny filler. George, because he was available at some later point in the draft. And then Maria. I mean, Maria's nice for book 1 because she is a healer that joins kind of early. You do have a free Malaysia in book 2, but we didn't have Lena free, so I kind of wanted a staff user. And I guess Merrick exists in book 1, but the Gaiden rings come very late in that book. They come in like chapter 19 out of 20, so it's kind of hard to promote a mage in time. So having a staff user is kind of nice. Nina's only in book 2 and only very late, kind of a joke pick, and then these two were literally like the last 2 drafts, I think. Dolphin Masala. So that's my picks. And it begins. This is where I started like chronicling my journey, so a little bit more detail. So I literally just showed this in chat, like, hey, I'm playing FE3 now. You gotta remember, all 5 of us, after we finished drafting, we're all gonna be playing this game before Engage came out. We're all gonna be playing all the games. So we had a lot of work ahead of us, because this is like a couple months before Engage came out. And there wasn't a whole lot of time to get it all done. So we're all kind of rushing through the games and telling each other our progress together, which is honestly the most fun of this draft. But yeah, Marth is kind of good. Marth got a good level up here. And one thing I remember about FE3 that I think is really cool is Chapter 2 already has a preparations menu. In FE6, you have to wait for Chapter 6 to freaking have a preps menu at all. You're forced to use that whole squad of scrubs from chapter 1 to 5, and then FE3 it's like, yeah, you have preps before Ogma even joins. Isn't that cool? Isn't that neat? This is also a funny part for me. You know how when you have thieves, they usually have very strange AI. They're often trying to go for chests, or if you block them off, they'll sometimes attack you, or if you block their way a little bit, to try to go like the long way around to get to a certain door or chest. These guys, they had no patience. I blocked their way through the village, or through to the village that's like over on the left side of the screen where the bridge avoid 0% part is, but they tried to go through me. I don't remember, maybe the thieves can water walk, like get around Ogma that way. Maybe that's the path finding they decided on, but I found it very strange they were just like trying to bunch up on this bridge when there was another one right below them they could have used. Dummy thieves. My cane is insane. This is before you get any kind of growth boost shards or star spheres or anything like that. So this is a cane that gained 4 strength in his first 5 level ups when he has a 30% growth, and also he got plus 5 speed in those level ups. So he hit every single 60%, which 160 or 260, that's like reasonable chances, but 5 in a row is insane. This cane was so strong. Cane does become a bit less useful in FE3 as the game goes on. Dismounting is a thing in that game, so that hurts him a little bit. And generally, just the paladins they have some issues late game. One of the things that they can't really do is do good one-to range combat, because Javelin's weight 20. But early game, this guy was just so monstrous. This is already way better than Jagan is, and this is chapter 2, just to give you an idea. I think the calves in FE3 are probably just higher tier than Jagan is in FE3. FE3 Jagan is not good. Here's FE3 Book 2 Katria in Chapter 8, looking balanced as always with 19 strength, 20 skill, 20 speed, 20 weapon level, which is the replacement for weapon ranks in this game. It's just 1 stat that level ups. She's already promoted, but she got another Dragon Whip somewhere that's just in her inventory sitting there. Star Shards are so good, and Katrias is so good. This is just one of those units that just kind of pops off so fast in FE3. FE3 is very much like a make your own good units kind of game. I think you can see that in a couple slides from here when I have the endings. I have another screenshot here of Katria almost maxing out. You know there's going to be some clown who says like, oh, didn't max defense, bad unit, reset. You know, so there you go. There you have that comment. But yeah, it's very easy to max out everyone when the stats caps are just 20 all around. But I think Modi was playing a game he didn't like a whole lot. I don't remember which one it was. He was like, yeah, I want to play, but I don't want to open the game. And I was at the desert chapter and I took the screenshot. I think Seleth also took that screenshot, like the exact same screenshot at some point. The desert chapter in FE3 is notoriously boring because none of the enemies move from the start. You have to bait them all out. And you can actually get the screen to a point where you have no enemies on the screen. And it's just all sand that Marth has to walk over with like 2 moves at a time. You can rescue staff to speed up with Yumina, but I didn't have Yumina. And Yumina is the only person who can use the rescue staff in FE3. Good times were had by all. If you think I'm just wrecking everything with Katria, you are sorely mistaken, because I had Julian, the combat thief, in Book 2. His growth are really good. I don't know exactly how high they are, but if you can get past his like sketchy strength and defense basis, then he's actually turning out quite right. I said here that he's 1-hit KOing Ice Dragons. I did not mean 1 round KOing. I mean he uses a Worm Slayer on an Ice Dragon and it dies before it can counter him. 19 strength is one hell of a drug. Is this the only weird sword using utility unit that is not meant for combat that I use for combat? No, it is not. This is my dancer, Fina. She killed Medius. You know, just normal things. No, let's move on. Peeved, MV3 boy and girls. He had a couple screenshots that when I asked for like fun screenies to collect for this, that he gave to me. So here you go. There's a bunch of people with 20 in a bunch of important stats. I like to see that still didn't manage to cap out strength even after all that work with the Star Sphere. Which I think gives 30% to every stat once you have it, so way better than the FE12 Star Sphere. One underrated feature of on FE3 is that the game gives its opinion on your units at endgame using your weapon inventory. So for Doga, it has 2 brokens here, which means Doga's is way too broken. Doga's very funny because he's one of the very few units besides Shima who can use the Gradivu in the endgame, because the endgame is indoors and dismounted units cannot use lances, so they're stuck with swords, except if you're an armor knight or a general, then you're not. Very cool. But yeah, these units obviously turned out very well. FE3 fun game. If you like maxing out units, this is one of the best. Modi did the same thing. He's got the FE3 Book 2 Obligatory Cavaliers, like Abel. You might think, oh, if you're not familiar with FE3, it's one of the Christmas calves having nearly max stats. What else is new? No, this is the guy that joins like 5 maps before the game is basically over, and he has like awful base stats for his level. He's like a level, I think he might be level 1 paladin, but he's very cringy bases. Imagine getting FE11 Medea, but later, with worse stats. That's what Abel feels like in Book 2. But no, he just maxed out everything. Mathis, I mean, honestly, he doesn't look super terrible, right? He still has 20 strength, but oh my god, that speed is awful. Oh my god, that... the speed is mostly the awful part. I guess the skill is kind of awful. If you're wondering why people have like Wormsly or Wormslayers in their inventory so much, that's because the end game of FE3 has a bunch of dragons. So everyone using a Wormslayer is completely normal. And the Knight class is just their class as a dismounted Paladin or Cavalier. I like this screenshot series too. You can't really see all of it, but you can see the most important parts. Strongest Warren against weakest Castor. Now you might think, Mecha, you were just showing me a bazillion screenshots of FE3 units with 20 in every stat. What's so important about this? And, you know, I get it. Castor level 20 has a bunch of good stats, but look at Warren's level. He's level 8 Hunter, and that's the unpromoted class. Warren joins at like level 2 or something in the second chapter of the game, but he has 20 strength. He does not have that in the base game. His base is like, I don't know, 5, 6 or something. And I asked Modi when we were collecting these screenshots, hey, why is your Warren at level 8 have 20 strength? And the only conclusion we came to is that he must have fed him a bunch of strength stat boosters at this level. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened here, but I found it very funny. It is also not impossible. I just realized that this is indoors, and when you're indoors as a... Because they promote into Bow Knight or whatever it's called in these games. They have like a mounted class that they promote into. I forgot the exact name. Shit, it's the tip of my tongue. But you know what I mean, right? The bow class, the horseman class. But when you're going indoors, you might get your movement reduced again. And so you're stuck with like 6 move again. And they might just use the unpromoted class for that. So maybe that's what happened here. But either way, it's a funny screenshot to me. It's either that or he got a bunch of power boosts. I personally prefer to think he fed him a bunch of power rings for no reason. I think that's funnier headcanon. Some endings from Peeved from FE3 that I don't want to withhold from you. I mean, the endings speak for themselves, of course. I like that Linde had more wins than Pala, even though Pala is the undisputed best unit in the game. Peeved did a funny thing where he drafted Nosferatu using units for every single Fire Emblem game. In most games, that is light magic, but in some games, it's dark magic. So you see, I don't think he had Kanas in FE7, but he had Athos. So basically, he had like dark or light magic users for every single game, and Linde was in a lot of them. Like, Linde is a lot of those. But you also have good old Gordon, and of course, Doga. That's it. That's the whole presentation. That's 20 minutes. You can go home now. You can complain about how boring it was, or you can do that in the comment section, as well as like and subscribe. Let me know if you want to see more of these, because they are a bit of work to make, but they're a fun way to look back at a fun experience. I might do it again, but I'm not going to do the whole draft again until I finish this project. So let me know what you think. I'll see you all next time. Bye!